I was wrong in doing what I did.
No, no! No! Are you listening?
Sean here, and I know I haven't released a video in a while, and I haven't abandoned this channel, and I haven't gone Great Babsby where she makes me wait so long for her videos that I love so much. Anyway, I'm giving a hard time. I know that life is crazy, and that's kind of what I want to discuss and how Lorne fits into this. My personal life is unfulfilling, and that's probably my fault. I don't go out much. I don't really have the energy. I feel drained all the time, and I know that's partially because of my state of mind. I have a recurring spinal injury that keeps me from exercising, and yesterday, after 2 weeks, was the first day I could do anything, and I got out and mowed my lawn. I have an electric lawnmower, and I have one of those old school push with the blade spinning as you push. It's actually pretty fun, but I almost had a heat stroke yesterday, but that's neither here nor there. I guess the biggest thing is work is a shit show. We have a manager and another manager, second tier, above them. We have one employee that we all deal with that people ask me every day. Vendors ask me when we get off the phone, how do you deal with that? We're talking a knee-jerk employee, someone who doesn't understand boundaries, doesn't understand teamwork, doesn't understand work lanes. As a human being, I get along with them. It doesn't always work out, but I try to see the person underneath. And if I can find out something personal about them, a struggle they're going through, I take that into consideration, and I really try to understand what it is. Now, this one individual, they have a family issue they're dealing with, and they also grew up in an environment where, despite being successful, are seen as the lesser. And I can understand that. My sister dealt with it. She did. She made a lot of mistakes when she was younger, but she turned out successful now. And I'm very proud of her. And I would consider her more successful than I am, because she's married with kids, has her own struggles, but she's kept her marriage together. Now, I don't necessarily wish I was still married. That is not what I'm saying. But I think she grew out of the shadow that she thought she was in. She was not. Me being the most popular kid in school when I was a senior, and my younger sister being there, and the color guard, I just think she always felt like I'll never live up. But she has, and I'm very proud of her. And I wish my mom was still alive so she could tell her how proud of her she was. So where am I going with this? People who don't understand boundaries and lanes, especially at work. Now, I would imagine that Lorne Armstrong at that call center didn't understand boundaries, man. Definitely did not understand the boundaries that had been set. Even if his job didn't require him to cross over into the lane of a female, say, or the lane of somebody he thought he was friend. And I'll admit, when I was in the Marine Corps, see, I was attached to an infantry platoon. I wasn't stationed in a place where I should be with Motor T. But every day in the morning, I'd go down there, especially when there was something that was needed, and I'd talk to them. And I used to make them laugh all the time. I'd tilt my cover, my hat back a little bit, and, I'd lean back, unbutton the top button, put my leg out, and say, Motor T! They just thought it was funny. Actually, I have a picture of it somewhere. If I can find it, I'll post it. Not that most of you care. But that was me visiting with people. I didn't overstay my welcome, and I definitely didn't go down there and say, y'all got those vehicles fixed yet? Especially when it didn't matter to me. Let's think about Lorne Lynn Armstrong and boundaries and lanes, and let's imagine him at that call center. Let's imagine him in a dark corner. A dark corner where he may not have felt important or valuable, and nobody wants that feeling. Come on, man. We know that Lorne has never felt important or valuable until these catfish women came along and he was finally accepted for the terrible behavior he displays all of the time. And that's really what it boils down to. It boils down to the fact that Lorne Armstrong, Mr. Penis, never felt valuable, never felt important, and he had to go talk to people. I don't see a lot of people coming to talk to Lorne, and I see the managers going, oh dear God, having to go talk to him and just going, oh Christ. And imagine if his manager was a woman. She would probably feel, and I think this, the need to go get a male co-worker to accompany her when she goes to talk to this creep. You must really like me if you want to come back and talk to me. Any woman that talks to him, he goes back, he imagines they're getting married. He wants the storybook ending without the storybook. He is not Prince Charming working his way up to marrying the princess. We know this. He's definitely not Prince Charming, although I believe at one time, not a prince, what to do? Anyway, I believe at one time, Lorne Armstrong thought he was the prince. He was coming in on his white steed to rescue Mona, borrowed the horse from Uncle Clay. And what he sees as being a white knight, as being the prince, is invading every aspect of your life, giving you advice on things you never asked. And I mentioned it before that toxic people, and I was guilty of this. I'd come in somewhere, I'd like where I was, and then thinking I was helping, I'd just immediately go into what I thought they could add, what I thought they could change. Not saying I appreciate this. And if you're that type of person and you think that's okay, that's on you. But it is, I guess, helpful toxicity where these people didn't ask for your advice, but you're just blurting it out. Why am I bringing that up? Lorne does that in the catfish relationships. He wants to dictate everything. He wants control. He wants anyone to take his idea and tell him, that's a good idea, Lorne. Yeah, Lorne, that's a great idea. I'll do that. And he probably was like, think about the Jamie Amy call. Think about him going ballistic about advice. The biggest failure in the history of failures. I will say this, though. John Dupy and some of those guys who are homeless and now missing because they haven't registered or have been back to jail a lot of times, comparatively to Lorne, they were worse. Now, I'm not talking about behavior because I don't know how they acted afterwards. Probably angry, disenfranchised. They just felt like they didn't have any value. And our system does that. And I could get how they might feel like that. I could. But comparatively to Lorne, I mean, this guy has survived like a cockroach in a nuclear war. His whole life has been a giant nuclear war, and he somehow survived. If one person, just one, took his advice, even though the new cockroach in a nuclear war took his advice, he might feel like something in his life was the correct decision. Maybe, just maybe, he might have finally done something good. But that's not going to happen. I mean, you tend to take advice from people who are where you want to be at or have what you want to have, but you're not going to get that with Lorne. So at Lorne's work, he was probably that toxic dude who was like, well, I found a new way to do it. We should do it this way. Lorne, that is specifically how we should not be doing this. That can cause a lot of problems with customers. We've got some complaints that you were too friendly. Well, that's what I'm supposed to be, friendly, right? Yes, but you were asking what they look like. And that's the tip of the iceberg. What color are panties and bra? And since he has a script that he went over, we saw what happened when he called Kayla. God forbid he had a call back with anybody. They talked a little bit and they said, call me back. Because Lorne, he would already have it in his head. They've established a connection. And the reason they wanted him to call that person back, specifically as a woman, is because they thought he was smart. They liked him. They were going to get married. I'm not exactly sure what would go through that 56K modem of a brain of his, that cornville kernel of corn, making that little staticky sound as one brain cell was out looking for the other one, and they finally found each other, and it was like the demigod particle. It just like exploded in his brain, like, brain blast, I've got an idea. How about, what if, now hold on, Debbie, hold on. I thought he had a camera in his house, and all of a sudden he has a camera. Now let's plan this out now. Let's plan this out. That might have been the only time, except Lorne wanted to tell Debbie, not Jamie, Amy, but it almost appeared as if he was concerned about her condition after calling, screaming, and accusing, and going crazy. Debbie! Going crazy on the phone. Like somehow finding a camera in the house was going to be more traumatic than that. And that Debbie would actually want to hear that from him. Yeah, it's a bit of a tangent. Just bear with me. That Debbie would actually want to hear that there was a camera in her house from a lunatic, a psycho, who just started accusing her of things that didn't happen, didn't realize she was close to death, just losing it over the smallest crap. It's crazy. And at work, if you think about it, the smallest crap would happen. Any kind of constructive criticism, because if you're a good manager, a good coworker, it would be constructive criticism. Like, wow, you're really kicking butt. What might help you even kick more butt, get noticed faster, or whatever you want to say. Just try to make it sweet so they can drink it down. Now, Lorne wouldn't be able to handle any of that, and God forbid he received any constructive criticism. I heard a story Michael Jordan told about Luke Longley, how Luke had 12 points in the first quarter. He told him, keep it up, man, keep it up, you're killing them. And by the end of the game, he had 12 points. He said he would never do it again. I don't like the feeling that nobody thinks you're alive. And sometimes when you're effective, they forget about you. And they just let you go. But the ones that need it the most, it's those people sometimes. They don't want to feel they've reached their end. They want to be challenged. That's why they're so good. Lorne doesn't want a challenge. He wants praise without the work. And at work, he would begin to cross boundaries with the smallest bit of criticism. Lorne, I think you're doing a pretty good job. Now, if you do this, it'll be even better. Now, he's not going to change. He's just going to assume he's even better. And eventually, his coworkers are going to start receiving unsolicited advice about what they should be doing, why they should be doing it, and when they should be doing it. And I think we know Lorne was getting up and talking to people, probably women. Now, he may not have sexually harassed these women, but he probably made them uncomfortable. So at that job, he was probably crossing into lanes and boundaries and driving people crazy. Drive chalk. I'm not sure what he would have to deal with other than, Lorne, you are screwing up, man. You're getting there late. Your customers are complaining. You're creeping people out. Well, yeah, I'm just being friendly. Don't do it anymore. I'm just being friendly. Yes, but Lorne, don't do it. I'm friendly. Like Guy Ladriel in that god-awful Rings of Power show. You have not seen what I've seen. I've seen my fair share. You have not seen what I've seen. And I think that's Lorne. Well, you don't know. I've made all these mistakes. I'm trying to help you. Lorne, you're still making those mistakes. You haven't corrected anything. Put him in an office setting, and we've talked about his boss and whatever else, co-workers, but put him in an office setting. Now let's see how fast he doesn't want to do his job. He wants to jump into other people's lanes and start trying to tell them how they should do their job or asking them how things are going. I don't like disruptions or knee-jerk emails where people just want to know something about something that they have no business dealing with. But I'm taking responsibility, ownership. Yes, you are. But your job is being neglected. You're bored out of your mind because you just landed in a job that's unfulfilling. Lorne would be the, anybody seen my stapler? Buried deep down. If he was a state employee in some locations, state employees in some states are protected because of all of the terrible firings and nepotism that happened in the past. But with Lorne Lynn Armstrong, he would be protected and maybe felt sorry for, so they just buried him. And like I told you that one time, one of my professional idols, he walked up to this guy and says, right in front of him, put his ass back in the furthest corner so no one sees him, because I don't want them feeling demoralized every day. And it worked. And that would be Lorne. Lorne would think that his personality and his traits and his willingness to tell everybody everything about him was what he had to offer to that job. Not his responsibilities and duties. No. It would be his quote-unquote work ethic, his feeling of ownership. And I bet you if one woman talked to him, he would probably feel entitled to talk to every woman that she was talking to. No boundaries, no lanes, invasion. How many times do you think you would be in a female boss's office talking about improvements that weren't really improvements, or talking about his job and what he's got done? I was in a position that I asked to step down from because I had 9 different people above me. And the last 3, I had crucial questions that had to be answered. They had to be answered. In 9 months with one of them, sorry about that, in 9 months with one of them, I received 3 emails. And I would ask questions and thinking, finally, they're going to get back to me on at least this one. But it wasn't the case. What they had done was ask me a question in that email about something completely unrelated. I'm just thinking to myself, are you joking me? But people get promoted for who they know, past experience, even though it's nothing to do. Well, you know, they're surviving in that job, and we need somebody. Let's just take them and put them over in this job. 3 emails in 9 months. The next one was 6 months. 2 emails asking about whether Jim Bob or Joe Bob had signed into the sign-in sheet that morning. Just a terrible work situation. Absolutely terrible. And at all times, I felt like I was abandoned. I didn't know what was going on. We never had any meetings, and when we did have meetings, they were just everybody sitting around the table that had no crossover, no necessary lane crossover. It was just what they were doing. And I hate to say it, but I haven't had a meeting in my current position in 3.5 years. Lorne would use those meetings to just socialize and tell everybody everything that they don't want to know. We don't have very many women where I work, and the average age of the women is probably around 58. Young people aren't coming into state government unless it's a catapult job, a slingshot to get them somewhere better. I took this job almost 23 years ago. Well, I started working in the same organization and moved up really far, 7 pay grades, moved up, bettered myself with schooling, with experience, asked for more responsibility, succeeded. I was told by, like I said, my professional idol. He brought me in. He said, listen, this is a pressure cooker. You're either going to be a diamond or you're going to be coal. Thankfully, I somehow made it out as a diamond. Now, it may have been flawed, but I made it out. And I received a few awards. It was very rewarding. The kind of guy that would have dinners and we'd have luncheons and end of year, Christmas, celebrations, costume contests. One year, a friend of mine came out as a train conductor, and I just walked out as myself. And he's like, Doug, we know you're a train conductor, but Sean, what are you? I said, you can't tell? Well, you look like You. And I said, I'm a train wreck. Got a big laugh. It was funny. Conductor, train wreck. Anyway, moving on. Imagine him at those luncheons, at those Christmas celebrations, at those feel-good moments when Lorne would be at what he thought he was his best, but it would be him at his worst, taking advantage of everyone else's happiness and willingness to talk and giving and fun, misreading the room, big time. Even the bosses you hate at Christmas tend to be friendly. They tend to be good people. You know, they try to the best comes out in people. You see who they really are and not what work has turned them into or what they feel like they have to be to survive work. Lorne makes the wrong decisions at all times. Who he would choose to be is not who he needed to be to survive. He would be him. Inappropriateness and all that stuff I talked about, female co-workers and female managers, all of that would come out. And if his job was boring, he'd want to come talk to you about your job, give you advice, drive you crazy, because that's who he is. All of the phone calls where he was trying to give advice, where he knew best, she was naive. She didn't know what was going on. She hasn't seen, you haven't seen what I've seen. She hasn't seen what he's seen. She hasn't done what he's done. All of this garbage that Lorne would assume would make life a living hell for others. And it's especially if he'd been there 3 years and somebody just came in. They'd probably know his job better than him in about 2 weeks. But this job I had like 4 or 5 days training. For 5 or 6 years of previous work of the development of the process. Hey, do you want to do this? I immediately thought coal or diamond. Now looking back, I probably should have said, yeah, nah, because I'm dealing with someone I don't really want to deal with that makes coming to work, you never know what you're going to get into. And it's, like I said, it's not just me, it's everybody. But when you are protected, you can get away with things. You can also abuse the system and get other people in trouble, so you have to walk on eggshells. And the funny part about Lorne is he always told people the things that he was doing wrong. And when you hear someone you have to walk around eggshells, talk about a situation where they have to walk around on eggshells, the lack of self-awareness is shocking. If that would be Lorne, it really would. And I know I rambled in this video, but I wanted to put something out just to get something out and show that this channel's not dead and that I plan on putting more content out. But that's it for today. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.